Hey everybody, time once again to do a CSS battle. These are CSS battles from the past. These are daily targets from January 1st, January 2nd, and January 3rd of 2023. Little bug there that says January 1st, 2023, but that's not correct. Somebody's got a year formatter that's a little not doing what we want it to do. All right, so let's get right to it. I guess this is a little hat dude. That's fun. All right, so what do we need to do this shape? I feel like it belongs. Is this two elements? Is it a single element? I think it's just all in the body, probably. I think that's probably the right call. So let's do the stripes first. How little code can we write to get those stripes? I'm pretty sure I was at the time doing repeating linear gradients at the time rather than setting the height of an image. So let's see what it looks like to set a background. And so here's what I want to do. I want to set, so it's stripes, it's orange and red, and then red. And so you can see that. And it's some width. So the orange is the first color, and that's like some number, and the second one is a different number, and they are, let's do 50% and 0. And then let's set a height and width of it. So I'm gonna put it at the top, and we'll see what that looks like. And let's do it 100% wide, and then let's call it 20 pixels tall. And uppercase PX works, but lowercase is what we want to do. And then let's do a no repeat. Now let's move that down into place. So downward. Okay, so if we do that, and for contrast, we'll put this dark color in the background so we can see our contrast correctly. So we're a little too far down. 40, 45%, 44, 43, 42, 43, 42%. And then I guess the height of that needs to be a little taller. 22, 23 pixels, 24. Are we in the zone here? No, we're way, so we need to be taller. So that stripe is not tall enough. And we're just trying to align this. So let's go ahead and use pixels, 100 pixels. All right, and let's get the top part of that first. Okay, 110, 20, 30. Oh, 130, 130, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 120 pixels. And we're going to adjust the size of that as we go. All right, so we want to make it a little taller. How about 30 pixels tall? 32, 33, 34. Okay, and then let's adjust that, the height of that, maybe that's 60% orange. All right, now when we let it repeat, do we black out that hat entirely? Close. Let's use rather than 60%, let's do 20 pixels. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I don't know if it's really doing it. We got a little discontinuity there. How about 35 pixels is the height? That looks better. All right, so that's our first part. That's our pattern that's in the background. So now we need to cover it. And the way we're going to cover that is, so we got that. Now we want to do a conic gradient to create the hat, and then the little round thing at the top will be a radial gradient. So conic gradient, and that's not in the dead center, which is the default 50%, 50%. That's at 50%, and then 100 pixels down, something like that. So that's the center. And let's do the two colors, and you can see what I'm getting at. So that color and then transparent. And then we have to have a comma. There we go. So that's what we get by default. So what do we have going on there? So we've moved it down. So really, rather than that, let's do, so that now it's in the middle. So we do at 50%, 10 pixels. And we're going to move that down, 2, 3, 4, 500. That's our number. And then when we add a from, so let's call that some angle. We know it's less than 90 degrees, right? That's 90 degrees. Less than that is like that. So let's try 45 degrees. 45 degrees. Or actually, we do 25%. So that's what that looks like. And then if we put another color stop here, put a number to it, we can do 25%, but we can also do 0. So let's do that. Now, let's do a from. So from some angle. If I do from 90 degrees, you get that. And then if I increase that number, 95, 105, 110, 20, 30, 40, then you've got that. And then I guess that's maybe 20% and not 25%. Less the angle, 19. Closer. And I guess I've got this backwards. It should be transparent first, and then the blue. So that gets us that. All right, so what have we got going on? Our angles are just not quite right. So let's make this higher? 115. That's what we got now. We're too low and too broad. So let's go up. How about 100? Put that 100 pixels back again. How about 90 pixels? All right, let's increase the angle here. 7, 8, 150 degrees. That's looking pretty parallel, but it's a little thinner at the top than the bottom. So does that mean the angle's wrong? Let's try 151. 151 looks pretty good. All right, now let's decrease the angle here. Whatever 19% of 360 is what that angle would be in degrees, but we're going to use percentages. 8, 7, 6, 5, 0.5, 0.8, 0.9, 16.1, or 2. That's pretty good. We'll take that. All right, and we could do something awkward. We could do border bottom. Border bottom, and we need to do it here. 30 pixels, solid. That kind of works. I kind of like that. But then we also have to do a margin. But maybe we will. Let's just see where this takes us. Because this is a very simple way to constrain this. A margin 0, border bottom. We could also set the height of this kind of gradient, but then we may have to tweak our angle. So let's do quick and dirty. 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So we got a border on the bottom, this conic gradient, and then now we need a radial gradient to put the little puffy thing on the top. Radial gradient, and it's a circle, and it is orange, and then transparent. Don't forget your comma, and that's what that looks like. It looks like it's sort of glowing, huh? That's fun. Let's give it a value, 10 pixels, and then another color stop there, constrains it, and now it's too low. At 50%, 10 pixels. It's not big enough. How about 15? And then down, 100. Close. Too far down. How about 90? All right. Let's submit that and see if we've got 100% match. I hope we do. So by constraining the image, we're 99.9%. So the dreaded 99.9%. So we're a little bit off. So what do we need to do to make this right? Is it 16 pixels? Is it 14? 60? So looking at that, it looks like we're a little bit wrong there. Let's do this as 17 pixels, and then 15, and then 16. Is that any better? Not really. Let's do 150 pixels, which is the halfway point, or 160, 70, 200. Yeah, 200 pixels. How about 199? So that's not right. How about 201? That's not right either. I think 200 pixels is correct. How about 4.5? Let's try that. So is the problem with this or the sides of the triangle, our effective triangle? I hope this is 100%, but we can tweak more. 99.9%. All right, let's try degrees on this. 80 degrees, too much. 7, 6, 5, 65, 61. Let's adjust those numbers. 59. 58.5. All right, so we're kind of seeing the issue a little bit. Very similar. We're just putting the center of that gradient, of the conic gradient, moving it around. 89.5. What if I'm going to undo a bunch of these changes? Okay, so I kind of like that. What if we do something odd, like 16.3%, so have that color stop be a little fuzzy? Let's try that. I feel like we can see a little error there. But it's so interestingly, I feel like right below the cap, there's a little bit of extra orange, which is very hard to see. So let's do a linear gradient and fix that. Which is going to be what? This orange. And some number. Let's do 50% just so we can absolutely see it, and then transparent. So that's wrong. So let's go 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33. Let's try to submit that. A little lower. I think it's a little bit lower, huh? How about that? Or is the color that we want actually the red on this second linear gradient? Let's see what that looks like. Because of the similarity between the orange and the red, it is a little harder to see the contrast. Yeah, we're still stuck there. So I undid my fuzzy conic gradient fix. Is this any closer? 100%. All right, so I'm going to make the executive decision to go into one of my prior 100% solutions. So there it is. It's astoundingly similar, right? So that's 100% solution, and it is a border at the bottom, margin is 0, a radial gradient, all very similar. I was using transparent and not this shorter syntax. conic gradient from 151 degrees. Astoundingly similar text here. A little bit different numbers. 89.7 pixels. And then the colors. Radial gradient. Circle. We have a second radial gradient. That's interesting. I don't know why we have that, but we do, and it is working. If I remove that second radial gradient, does that work? Maybe. Let's submit that. Curious to know if this is correct. Yeah, that doesn't work. So let's put it back and then submit again. %, 90 pixels, and that's 100% match. So I don't totally see why that's working. I can't see it well enough. Maybe this is a shortcoming of my vision. That's possible too. And then this repeating linear gradient is the syntax that I chose there. And that is, so if we do that, and we do this, so that height is what, 15 pixels, and then 0, and then we just want to make sure it's at 0, 0 space, 100%, 35 pixels, and that's another alternate syntax. Oh, and it doesn't work. That did not work. 15, 10. Let's undo that. So something about transliterating, changing that repeating gradient didn't do the job. So let's resubmit that. I think this is identical, but we're still kind of satisfied. The pieces are the same, but this gets at sort of how tricky some of these solutions are and how specific they are. So this second circle is it has an inner color of the orange. So it's actually, okay, so what we're seeing is we've got, there's actually a little bit of a red of the shadow going on that I can't see well enough to see. Maybe if I zoomed in, and that it's, there it is, but then that sort of obliterates the output here. So let's do view actual size. Just a tricky one, with the colors, but still a fun one. Sorry I couldn't do that one all in real time. All right, next one. Let's do the blank template. Definitely feel like these are all elements because they are, you know, that pill shape, that rounded rectangle shape, that classic sort of Mac rounded rectangle. So I think this is 3 elements with box shadows. So let's do that. I think I know I'm going to need a color here. So when I do a box shadow, it will work. But the first thing I want to do is I want to do, actually, is this the first thing I want to do? I don't think, let's do the hard thing first. Let's create width, so height and width. So I'm going to center that, and then let's set margins. 50 margin, and then a height is, it's not very tall, 10, 20. And then the width, 40, 50, 60. And then we need a border radius to make that pill shape. If it's 20 high, then it's 20 pixels. And will 10Q work? How about 20Q? That's fine. So that's a little bit shorter syntax, even though the Q unit is kind of on the mysterious side. Let's do box shadow, and maybe we don't need to set a color, so we're not going to set a color. Let's not do that. So that shadow is lower, so 0 on the x-axis, and then 100 pixels. So So there it is. So it's not 100, it's 140, 50, 60, 70, 80. And then if we add a color, that's how we get that. And then let's make a second element. Yeah, we'll do a second element that we're going to rotate. So, and let's give it an attribute so we can target him very specifically, because we probably need another element after that. B, rotate 90 degrees. There it is. Now, can we do a transform origin and change it? That doesn't change it. How about like that? There, that actually changed it. So is there a transform origin that will put us where we'd like to be? If I do 100, so that's on the x-axis somehow, 200, and then minus 100, or 100, 2, 3. So that's kind of fun, right? We're kind of doing these really interesting numbers for, how about 140? So if we put these as vars, what do we get if those numbers are both the same? Dash dash x. We're just call them both v. What happens if we use that as our value? So dash dash v is some number, 10%. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100, 200. So it's kind of going along in a line there, huh? So that's the transform origin. So do we need to scale? Not scale. Do we need to translate, which moves things in X and Y space? Is that the easiest way to do that? Is transform origin the right solution? No, probably not. But let's set margins. Let's do margin instead. Margin 10, 20, 30, 100, 0. Let's do 150. So again, we're adjusting numbers. Not too bad. 210. 210. And then if we do 90, are we doing in the right direction? 8, 7, that's great. So there, margin. So let's turn this into a variable. Var of m or 0 auto. And then for this, it's dash dash m. It gets us what we want. Great. Lastly, we have a final element. C, and we don't see it yet. Width of 100. So it's there. So our margins need to be some other number, probably minus 100, 0. And then let's set a height. Okay, how about 120? How about 125? Interesting. And then let's go 3, 4. Ah, we have our shadow. How about 120 and 120? Is that the size? Close. So margin, width, and height. So let's do a height as a var dash dash 8 or 20, and then var dash dash W or 60, and then we can do this as dash dash W, dash dash W. Height, actually. All right. Now we have a box shadow under this that we don't want. We don't want that. Also, I think that our border radius is wrong, isn't it? Because our units are incorrect. So maybe we do want 20 pixels or 10 pixels, 10 pixels, 20 pixels. So we just, oh, okay. So let's make that into a higher number. No, 40, 10. So I want a number that's enough for this. 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, not 120, 20, 21. 21Q is the magic number there. All right, and then we want to short circuit this box shadow somehow. We could set this as a variable. Oh, that's what that looks like if we do that. Rather than that, let's set this as a var of dash dash S for shadow, or this, and then, oh, interestingly, it doesn't like this. Oh, so nope, that was fine. I just had the syntax wrong. Okay, so now if I set on the C element S, the minute I add a colon, it short circuits this box shadow. It gives it a value that's empty. Let's submit that and see if we've got it right. Curious to see. Hopefully we got it right. I think we do. So that's 3 paragraph elements to create that shape, and this is a better score than I've gotten in the past. So let's minify and unit replace and get out. All the getting's good. Very nice. Pretty satisfying. Fun to explore. What's the word? Transform origin, right? So that's transforms occur after the site has rendered, after everything is loaded. So that's a little bit different take. All right, what's this guy? Oh, this is a fun one. I think this is 2 elements and then a conic gradient on the background. That's how I view this one. So the second element, so let's do a display flex. Actually, one thing at a time. We'll do like that. And then this background is a certain width. And actually it's a linear gradient, isn't it? Linear gradient, which I think is transparent. And let's do the shorthand. And transparent. And then let's give it a width. And then I want to do borders on the side. So border inline, 20 pixels solid, and then it's the yellow. So that's kind of the shape. And the second one, I want to flip upside down. So P plus P is how to target that second paragraph tag, scale -1, which turns it upside down. You can't see that yet because they're still equivalent. All right, let's use margins to put these into place. And I guess we need a gap. So margin, let's do display flex. All the elements kind of in a line, and then a gap of some value, 20 pixels. So this is where we are so far. Let's use margins to push things down. 50, 55, 56, 7, 8, 9. 59 looks right. About 100 here. Nope, 90. 95. All right, we're not tall enough. 130, 40, 50. We're not wide enough. Our borders are not wide enough, so we need to do that first. So we don't want to see any of this gradient. We just want to see a plain gradient that's not quite right. So width of this maybe 25. How about 30? And then our width needs to be wider, 20, 30. And then our gap needs to be also 30, doesn't it? There it is. All right, so that's what we got so far. And we can see that the differences here are a little bit different, but because it's an even split. So let's do what? 10%, 0. 20, 30, 40, 50, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60%. Okay. And then is that 80%? And then 0? That's pretty good. So those are the elements we've created. One is flipped upside down using scale. And now we want a background, and that background is going to be a conic gradient. That's 30 by 30. Conic gradient. 30 pixels. What is it? At 30 pixels. 30 pixels. And then it's purple almost all the way around. 75% or 270 degrees around. And then yellow. 0. Then we got to move it. And then 200 pixels gets us there. 1.5, 115. How about a little lower? 125, 135, and then a little less far over. 160, 70, 80, 90, 80, 85. So that's a very precise placement of that. So what can we do that's a little bit different? So can we use percentages for either of these or different units? Yeah, that's just fine as it is. Code golf is fewer characters, but once I've satisfied the design, I find it you got to really want to go for it. And I think this is a good solution. It's a good solution. Let's use my unit replace and minification and nip and tuck at a few of these characters, resubmit, and I think we're done with this. We've hit 2024 in this effort to create videos of me doing all of these challenges in real time. Now, when I do the new ones, I don't look at them beforehand, and so I'm coming across them fresh, and it's really fun to encounter that moment that the puzzle hits you, like, oh, what can I do here, and can I do it? And then the success of feeling, yes, I succeeded, or nope, I couldn't get to 100%. I usually do something close and do okay, but sometimes I don't quite get there. In this case, this one is the tricky one, and there's just more nuance, I guess, going on here than I could see, because we have a second radial gradient that was required to get that to go, and I just couldn't see it. So probably I would have, worn my eyeglasses or use a magnifying glass or some other technique, right, to zoom in on those things. All right, thanks for watching. Make something cool with CSS and HTML, please, and share what you do. Put stuff on the web. The web is a great medium for so many things, and allows us all to publish if we choose to. Put things and toys and games and all kinds of cool stuff on the web. All right, have a great day. Be good to each other. Bye-bye.